The effects from Saturday morning's floods in Lawton were felt across the community all day.
Unless they guided one of our like somewhere down there.
The storm started with heavy hail and rain in the early morning hours before transitioning into a deluge. The constant downpour flooded roadways and apartments, forcing some Lawton residents, like Gary Hadley Sr., out of their homes. "I have a downed vehicle down there that's floating that's moved several times," Hadley said. "So, I can't get to it, without fire and rescue." Hadley lives in the Pecan Valley apartments that sit right on Wolf Creek. The creek flooded more than just the apartments, though. Further downstream, Cameron University felt the effects as well. Hadley says the flooding took more than just debris. "My neighbor's car was floating down the river here," Hadley said. "Heard it was a black Nissan. I don't know if they pulled it out. And I'm in a truck. My truck has actually been spun around a couple of times, so." The flooding caused Lawton Emergency Management to call for evacuations in the northeast side of town. Not everybody who evacuated had a place to go, though, including many of the residents at Pecan Valley. For the most part, they're okay for right now because the water has gone down, but just need some help in there and get them out, Hadley said. Like I said, most of the residents, there's a lot of elderly residents inside. Now that the water around town is high, getting people back into their homes is now a waiting game. Until the water goes down, we just have to wait on Mother Nature. You can't push nothing, Hadley said. According to Lawton Emergency Management, any resident evacuated from their home, especially from the Turtle Creek and Garden Village areas, is encouraged to check into local hotels, stay with family or friends, or find one of the allotted local shelters, as water levels are expected to continue to rise into Sunday morning. The Laden Police Department, LPD, reported one fatality after a person drove into standing water near 2nd Street and F Avenue in Laden, one of the worst-hit areas. Authorities were unable to reach the vehicle in time, and an LPD dive team later recovered the victim. Rainfall totals between 51 and 102 millimeters, 2 to 4 inches, were reported across Oklahoma, submerging roads and causing multiple rivers to reach action in minor flood stages. The rain reports are preliminary and awaiting verification by the National Weather Service, NWS. While heavy rainfall was the main impact in Lawton, strong winds exceeding 95 kilometers per hour, 60 miles per hour, and hail were reported in other parts of Oklahoma. Videos shared on social media showed vehicles being washed off the roads in Lawton, one of the hardest-hit areas. Floodwaters entered homes and businesses across the region. Some areas reported over 90 to 120 centimeters, 3 to 4 feet, of standing water on roads. The Wichita Mountains Wildlife Refuge was also closed through Saturday due to the flooding. The veterinary office on SW Park Avenue was flooded, trapping 3 people, 3 dogs, and 2 cats inside. One of the victims posted on social media requesting rescue assistance. Local authorities reported conducting multiple water rescues using boats throughout the day on Saturday. It is worth noting that the constant barrage of severe weather that has been impacting the central U.S. for the last few weeks has left the soil saturated, making the region susceptible to severe flooding even with lower rainfall totals. Multiple key routes, including Interstate 44, I-44, were closed due to flooding that submerged roads. The eastbound and westbound lanes of I-44 were closed between State Highway 49, SH 49, and US Route 62, US 62, near Laden. Multiple vehicles were stalled during the severe weather, and a truck reportedly jackknifed on I-44. It remains unclear whether the crash was directly caused by the weather. Authorities advise citizens to avoid travel during flooding and seek alternative routes. Multiple flood and tornado warnings were issued across the state through Saturday as the storms passed over the region. The threat of severe weather ended later in the evening, reported the National Weather Service at 1925 local time. The I-44 was open later in the evening as the floodwaters subsided. Not all routes saw the same relief, with the northbound and southbound SH 5B being closed off south of Walters between SH 5A and US 70 through Saturday night. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt thanked first responders on Saturday. "Thank you to our wonderful first responders who've been executing water rescues all day due to flooding from heavy rain," he wrote in a post on X. "Oklahomans, be extra careful when driving and don't try to drive through flooded roads." Lawton city officials said water began to recede in some areas on Sunday afternoon. Further south, in Walters, Oklahoma, Cotton County Emergency Management issued a public notice urging all residents to evacuate flood zone areas. Floodwaters are expected to rise through mid-afternoon Sunday, authorities said. Emergency management is working to secure more sand and sandbags for residents. Across the Southwest and the Rockies, extremely critical fire weather conditions continue Sunday afternoon due to 60 miles per hour wind gusts, single-digit relative humidity, and dry vegetation. Around 7 million people will be under alert throughout Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas. Additional severe weather risks span from Montana to Texas, with storms capable of producing winds up to 70 miles per hour, large hail, and potentially tornadoes overnight Sunday. On Monday, 36 million people from Texas to Michigan will be in the severe weather region, including the major cities of Minneapolis, Chicago, and Oklahoma City. The strongest storms will arrive late afternoon and continue overnight, with the potential for intense tornadoes, very large hail, and powerful wind gusts. Localized flash flooding may occur in the central region of the country. The risk will decrease by Tuesday as storms move north to New York, when 37 million people will be under a slight risk of severe weather in metropolitan areas, including Indianapolis, Oklahoma City, and Cleveland. As the front travels east, scattered strong to severe thunderstorms may occur with strong wind gusts, hail, and an isolated tornado. As the week continues, there will be a moderate risk in parts of the upper Midwest.
You're not telling what's on the road either.
The severe weather also affected parts of Texas, with reports of river flooding in the northern part of the state. The severe weather system has moved out of the region and is forecast to move into the northern high plains, bringing a severe weather threat to Montana and the Dakotas through Sunday, April 27th. Over the weekend, severe thunderstorms and torrential rains turned a vast area in the Texas panhandle into a small sea when floodwaters overwhelmed the region. A video recorded northwest of Smyre, Texas, shows storm damage to outbuildings and solar panels. Eyes in the sky recorded by a drone show the ground completely covered in brown floodwater. Wind blowing the floodwater created murky waves with power poles sticking up. The roads were also submerged by the water. Another pan across the drenched landscape by the drone camera shows oil machinery as the only structure above the water. A flood warning was in effect for the area on April 26th after severe thunderstorms rolled through the region the night before.